Hey guys, Kyler Callahan here. Welcome to the Actual Marketing Show, where I talk to business leaders about their marketing strategies and what actually works for them. Entrepreneurs are bombarded daily with the latest marketing tactics, and when they try one out, they are often met with failure. So I thought, why not go to the source? Why not talk to actual hardworking business leaders in the trenches and battling it out daily to find out what works for them and what doesn't. So let's get to it. Today I'm having Anthony English on the show. He has escaped an IT career and has started his own freelancing consulting business where he works with Rachels. Very unique, and I hope we get to talk to him more about that today on how he's really targeted his market and explain the whole Rachel thing to us, because that always, it's funny. I saw you as a second connection on LinkedIn, and it says I mentor or coach Rachels, and I thought to myself, I remember somebody like that from another podcast I listened to. So I added you as or requested you as a connection and said, hey, I remember you from a podcast somewhere. I can't remember where. All I remember is
you didn't remember which podcast. That's okay.
Oh, I said, I just remember that you coached Rachel. So I was like, I'd love to connect and talk with you some more. And I'll tell you,
Sure.
Anthony, he just dumps the value on you. He just gives you so much information. I've had so many mind-blowing experiences where I'm like, wow, I just didn't think of it that way. And you do it so freely and so generously. So I'm so happy to have you on the show here.
Oh, look, it's just great to be here because, I mean, it really can be very tough. I was a technical guy myself, IT. We never touched marketing or sales or money or anything like that. And so it's really, really scary. And technical people in particular tend to play it very, very safe because that's what we've been taught to do, right? Always have a backup. It's probably not going to work. Don't touch anything. And so and that very often does not work in marketing, especially playing it safe. You've got to put your head out on the chopping block, which is a bit scary.
Well, you recommended that book, Purple Cows, and I like to say I'd finished it. I read it there after you mentioned it there, and I think the one thing he said in there is you never know which business or offer or product that you start is going to be that purple cow that works. But he says there's no way to tell, but you got to keep trying it. You got to take the risks. There's no way you can't succeed if you don't take the risks, because eventually you will find your purple cow. And it's, I like. Oh, so I just like to say I love the whole analogy of purple cows, because I was listening to that book while I was I have a part-time job at a dairy barn, so I was working with cows.
Okay. Well, Seth Godin he really nailed it there. He gave this example. I haven't read the book, but I heard him refer to it. Seth said, look, imagine if you look in a field of cows and then one of them is purple. Well, that is remarkable. As in, it's something that's able to be remarked upon. Now, and so if you had the idea of having one cow in your field that's purple, however it gets purple, if you purpled a cow, then that would be remarkable. But then if you saw somebody else's farm and they had a purple cow, and then you start and making, purple cows are remarkable, so you start making purple cows. You start purpling cows all over the paddock. It's not really going to work. Okay, it's no longer remarkable. And so standing out is really, really hard. And how do you do it? I mean, some ways that people like to do it is they try to be cute or clever. But once it's been done, it's been done. Right? You're no longer, you really have to think of something different.
I think he kind of talks about they were in France and driving down, and they just saw these very nice looking cows on the side of the road. And at first it was, oh, look at the cows, right? And then they saw more cows. And pretty soon they stopped looking out the window. And then that's where he came up with the purple cow. He's like, well, if there's one purple cow, and then, like I said, that's remarkable. But if he was to drive down and just kept on seeing more purple cows, then it wouldn't be anymore, right? And that's where he's talking about something that is remarkable at once eventually will not be, and then you have to either make it remarkable again or make something new. And then that's where you kind of left me those voice messages where you're talking about the 5 stages of, what was it? The 5 stages of marketing or buyer?
Okay, buyer awareness.
Oh,
So
buyer awareness.
that's from Eugene Schwartz. And this, even if you've never done anything in marketing before, you've never worked in the field, and you basically, maybe you are the one responsible, maybe like me, you're a solopreneur, and so you have to do the marketing yourself. It's really one of the very simple lessons that I'll give you a few a few little things that I've learned that have been really helpful. Number one is this, which is that if you can describe people's problem better than they will assume that you've got the solution. Now, let me give you an example. And we'll make sure we get back to this 5 levels of awareness, because it's really critical, especially if you are kind of beginning in the marketing space. And it's actually applicable right through. But let me give you an example. Hey there, Kyler, I'm a dentist. Okay, so I'm going to show you how not to do marketing. Okay, I'm a dentist. I use the latest equipment. I use the latest techniques. I'm really gentle. In fact, when the parents ask, well, where would you like to go? Where would you like to go on your vacation? They don't say Disneyland. They say, we want to go to see the dentist. Okay, that dentist, because we love him. It's just so much fun going to the dentist. So now that I've established my authority, I've established my credentials, can I interest you in some root canal surgery? All right. Doesn't really work, right?
No.
Because even though I may be the best dentist in the country, you don't, as far as you know, you don't even need root canal surgery. Okay. But if I start with the pain instead, hey, Kyla, I've never seen you so grumpy. Like, what's wrong? Everything okay? You were driving this morning and you were like, you were annoyed at the traffic. You're holding your mouth here. What's wrong? What's up? You say, well, actually, I've got a sore mouth, and I just need some painkillers. What do you mean painkillers? Well, I haven't been able to eat. I can't eat on that side of the mouth, and I'm not really sleeping properly. And oh, really? Well, when did this happen? So I start to find out, what is the pain that you are having? What is the impact that's having on you? And you're looking for a solution, painkillers. And I'm saying, well, wait a minute. When you say you haven't been able to sleep, look, yeah, I got to sleep eventually, 3 a.m. It was just terrible. I was just in so much pain. I'm just not comfortable. I can't smile. And so that's, I speak about your pain and I really dig into it and find out what the real problem is. Well, is it hurt here? What about when you just smile? Does that hurt? Yes, it does. What about if you touch it? Oh, yeah, it hurts really there. What about on that side? No, it's okay. So what I'm doing is I'm showing you I understand your symptoms. I understand what you're going through. That's the pain. Then we paint the dream, pain dream solution. So instead of saying, well, this is your lucky day, I'm a dentist, I say, wait a minute, Kyla, I think you would be, I remember what you used to be like. You used to be so joyful and so happy and, and you used to smile. You used to eat anything. Wouldn't it be great to be back there again? I can't, my mouth is too sore. Okay. And so I paint the dream. Yeah, but you would be able to smile. You wouldn't be sort of thinking, oh, I don't want to go on this podcast. I'm going to have to smile that Anthony English keeps cracking jokes and they just hurt, right? And so when I'm painting the dream, you want to be able to go on the podcast and not even think about, how do I look? Am I smiling enough? Don't even want to think about that. Okay. And just be able to talk freely without thinking, my mouth hurts. And so I paint the dream and then I come through with the solution. You know, from what you've described, from the symptoms you've described, it sounds to me like your problem is not going to be fixed by painkillers. That's not going to be a permanent solution. It's it sounds to me like what your real problem is that you need root canal surgery. Now, don't worry. I know that sounds really scary, but don't worry. I'm so good, so gentle that even children come to me for their vacations. They say, let's go to the dentist. Okay, let's skip Disneyland. Disneyland isn't fun. Right. And so that's made it much more relatable to you. Now, let's go through the 5 levels of market awareness using that example. First, you may be completely unaware. Anthony, you've actually got a tumor. you got a cancer, and if it doesn't, I had no idea it was a silent cancer. You do have it. It's got to be treated. We're going to have to get that fixed. Oh dear. Okay, so I was completely unaware, or else I might be pain aware. I've got this sore tooth, but nothing you can do about it. I must just be getting old. That's life. Tough it out, you know. Okay, I'm pain aware, but as far as I know, there is no solution. I'm not aware if there is one. And then the next stage is solution aware. Okay, I know that I've got something wrong with my tooth, and I know one of the solutions is a painkiller, is just like get a morphine patch. Another solution is maybe to get it fixed somehow. Okay. Yeah, it can be done. Something can be done about it. Okay. And then product aware, or the service. I'm actually aware there are such people as dentists, and some dentists can actually fix this problem so that it goes away permanently and I can still eat and smile and I'm not going to lose all my teeth. Okay. That's product aware. And then the 5th stage is most aware. And you know that I'm the dentist, you know how much I charge, you know what the availability is, what the impact is going to be, you're ready to buy. Okay. Now, usually what we do when we begin with marketing is we assume that everybody is product aware or solution aware. They all know what we do and they know why that's important. Hi there, I'm a full stack developer. Do you want any full stack? Yeah, of course, I'm looking for a full stack developer. And it's like we're applying for a job. That's really, really poor, because a lot of people may not have a clue and they may not even care. They may exactly need your service, but they may not know what it is, why they need it. They may not be aware at all. And so that's one thing. Or the other thing is people assume that people are totally unaware. You need a website because websites are the way to connect with people on the internet. Like, I mean, okay, a business owner is probably going to know that. Yeah, already. Yeah.
That maybe back in the early 2000s or late 90s, that maybe wasn't
for
as
sure.
common, right? But yeah, I mean, today everybody knows you need a website.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the industry and so on. But what we're really doing here is we're speaking to the clients where they're at in their language, because their language is not going to be our language, right? And speaking to them in their language instead of speaking about our processes or our techniques. I mean, imagine if I'm the dentist and I meet you for the first time, and by, you know, some perceptive and some experience, I can tell you probably do need to come and see the dentist. And imagine if my pitch to you is, let me show you the needles that I'm going to put into your into your mouth. Let me show you my range of the equipment. Like, that's not going to win you over.
Oh,
That's
what
technical people do.
Get back.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are you? Yeah. So it's yeah, I think we had talked a little bit about was it Donald Miller, right? In Story Brand.
Yeah, the story brand. Yeah.
And he kind of talks about that, you know, that whole journey, that all those stages of awareness. But he talks about putting it in a like a traditional story structure, right? And um, and one thing I got this from you too, and you're talking about target the problems, not specifically maybe the customer or the market, but the problems, and then how you can fix that. Then go look for the market you want to apply that to. And and we'll come back to that. But I just kind of wanted to get this whole thing you mentioned about, you know, oh, I'm a full stack developer, and most people would be like, okay, maybe they know they need your solution, but they don't know you are the solution because they don't know what a full stack developer is. I get that all the time as a copywriter. It's like, so do you like copyright my stuff like a notarizer? Like, no, writer.
Yeah, exactly. So, so coming in as a copywriter, I mean, if you call yourself a copywriter, you may be assuming that people will know what that is, what
I'm
it is
starting
that
to
you do.
learn that they don't know.
Yeah, that's right. What it is, what you do, and why it's important. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's really leading with your solution, which kind of works in some industries. Like if you're a dentist, okay, people know what a dentist is, and but really the key here is well, let's switch to so you take the example of the full stack developer. I don't know what that is. I actually do know what it is because I've got a technical background, but I don't know why it's important. I don't know why I would even care if I was running a SaaS company and I just need this done.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so and so I mean, you interviewed Anita Toth, right? So
Yes. Yes.
Anita, yeah, so Anita's a good friend of mine, and Anita is working on specifically with SaaS businesses. And if you're not a SaaS business, and if you don't know what a SaaS business is, then you're not her client. That's totally fine. And she's dealing with churn. And if you don't know what SaaS business is, and you don't know what customer churn is, and customer retention and customer service team, like the customer success team, if you don't know why those are important, it's totally okay for Anita to speak that language and completely to alienate you because you're not her market. And if you don't know what ARR is, annual recurring revenue, or MRR, monthly recurring revenue, you're not a SaaS owner. You're not her market. So if she starts speaking about MRR and she doesn't explain what it is, well, if she's talking to me and I've never heard of MRR, I'm going, well, what does that mean? Okay. But that doesn't matter. I'm not her market. But if she started explaining it, MRR is monthly recurring revenue. This is the most important metric for SaaS companies. SaaS businesses are going to be insulted if she speaks like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Exactly. They don't want to be dumbed down, right? Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. So that kind of gets to this. I guess we're kind of going off my normal. We're going off script here, but this is kind of what I planned anyways. We get into this great conversation, so I don't know. Maybe we'll jump back to some of the other questions I usually ask. But so when it comes to this, you have your a lot of people call it a funnel or a channel, right? Where you have your top of funnel down to the bottom, right? And you typically think of top of funnel as the people who are not aware they even have a problem.
Yep.
Right? And the bottom being they definitely know they have a problem and they want you to fix it, right?
Yep.
So now, say Anita, she's a SaaS consultant, churn consultant, or churn crusher. She likes to call herself.
Yes.
Right. You market to Rachel's, right? And we'll definitely get back into that because that's very unique. I like to hear more about that.
Yeah,
but,
it is.
And I'm a copywriter, right? So we're talking about, okay, if I say I'm a copywriter and somebody knows what a copywriter is, and they're typically going to be somebody who would be willing to work or know more about me, right? Because they know what a copywriter is. But if I go to a business that doesn't know who I am, then I should probably not spend time trying to convince them why they need a copywriter. And so then I guess what I'm kind of getting into here is, as I think most, like, you definitely have a big heart. I have a big heart. I know Anita has a big heart, so many business owners get into their business because they want to build something. They want to help people. And maybe we get in this little trap where we feel like, oh, but we just want to let these people know there's something else out there. There's a copywriter. There's a churn crusher. Anthony markets the Rachels. And we just got to let people know that there's something else out there beyond their little sphere. But the problem is that we are business owners. It's not going to be in our best interest to spend time trying to do that. So,
well, you're running a business, not a hobby, okay?
exactly.
And
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if you were, I don't know, something really very commoditized, like you're a house painter. Okay, people don't really know, they don't think about painting, and they don't really know what it is that's special about you. And on your advertising, you could put in quality painter or reliable or things that anybody could say. It doesn't distinguish you at all. And but people know what a painter is, what a house painter is. And now a house painter could walk down the street of every single house in the street or every apartment and say, actually, you need to fix this. This could do with a lick of paint. This bit, yeah, the way that they've done this wall here, they really, that's not going to last. That paint is going to peel. You're going to have to, they could do that all day long and they could be helpful, but they wouldn't have a business, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And everybody needs it. And some people, many people in the house are not going to, in the street, are not going to notice or care that, their laundry needs to be done in a different color or their kitchen. Like they won't know or care. Can the painter fix that? Yes. Could the painter make the house look beautiful? Yes. Could the painter increase the value of the house or make it so that the people don't even want to move after all? Now that we've done this place, we've decided we're not going to move house. Okay. We're going to stay. It's just so wonderful. You've made this place like all new again. It was like, that's a huge value proposition, but the painters don't speak like that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing is that being helpful is very helpful. It's very good. Okay. We do have big hearts, and also entrepreneurs tend to have lots of ideas. They tend to be very creative people. Right. But still you got to speak to people who care enough, who've got an expensive problem that's expensive enough for them to want to do something about it, okay? To spend money to fix it. So that gets us down to now, and people say, oh, the riches are in the niches. Yes. However, if you're making websites and I say, look, pick a niche, pick an industry, do websites for dentists. Everybody uses that example. I feel sorry for all the dentists. They must just get so many. Oh,
They
actually,
must
I do
all
websites
have they
for
must all have
dentists.
great websites by now.
Well, yeah, no, it's not. That's not the case actually. There's a lot of other things that happen in the dental industry that that make people stick with one dentist for many years. But here's the history of my thing with the Rachels. First, I noticed two things. Well, one was that as I was looking through, so I was already working with women, and just with women. I had tried working with men, but it just never really worked out in terms of business coaching. The men would tend to be enthusiastic, and then the next day, yeah, you know what, I spoke to my wife, we decided we're not going to invest in this after all for a while, or we might get back to you, but I really love your content. Anyway, there were a lot of things, but with women, it was very not with all women, but with some of the women that I was working with, I found that I was able to untangle. I was able to help them get unstuck in a particular area, and so what I did was I changed my LinkedIn profile. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and I changed my LinkedIn profile to I help women. You might say, well, okay, that's a niche, but actually it's not a niche. It only limits the human race down to half, or actually not half of them are women, but when you don't count the girls and you don't count those who are running a business, it's still not that. It's still very broad.
Yeah.
So here's what I did. I was speaking to a number of women. I was commenting. I was noticing the posts on LinkedIn, and a few names kept coming up that kept recurring. There was a Rachel here and a Sarah there and another Sarah and another Rachel. And what is this? There's actually quite a few Rachels here. I'd love to work with her. Oh goodness, I'd love to work with her. And I kept noticing this thing with these Rachels. Now, Rachel's is not an industry. It's not like dentists. Okay. There's no industry conference for Rachel's. And so what I did was I wrote this
Maybe
LinkedIn.
you could host the first one.
Yeah, that's right. So I wrote this LinkedIn, exactly. So I wrote this LinkedIn post. And here's what it said. It said, let's play tag Rachel. Now, I know some amazing women called Rachel. I know some amazing women not called Rachel. I know some amazing men not called Rachel. But one thing I've noticed is let's focus on the Rachels just for this post. So here's the job. Here's how you play tag Rachel. Find somebody that you know who's called Rachel or Raquel or, some variation of the spelling, Rachel with double L-E or something like that. And tag her in this post and tell us why she's amazing. That was it. Let's play. Who wants to play tag Rachel with me? I didn't actually tag anybody in the post. Well, that post got, a few thousand views, 12,000 views or something eventually, but it also got not that many likes, maybe fewer than 100 likes, which was not that good, but it got lots of comments. And it got over 80 Rachels got tagged. Hey, my cousin is Rachel. My competitor is Rachel. She's wonderful. She's a great copywriter. My daughter-in-law is Rachel. My sister is Rachel. I was called Rachel, or I should have been called Rachel, but it was just beautiful. And so, but what was really behind this was it wasn't me sitting there staring at a wall and designing this customer avatar, imagining this woman who she's 35 years old and she's a marketing consultant. No, it wasn't any of that. It was very organic. And what I did was I was really trying to solve a very different problem. I wasn't trying to find a niche. I was trying to find a problem. And the problem was this. Women, I mean, it's true generally for entrepreneurs, but for women in particular, they often felt that they were running their business on their own. Well, they were. I mean, the solopreneur, but they were self-employed, but they felt like they had to market to the whole world all by themselves. And what I wanted to do was to show you are not alone. Look how many people you've got cheering you on, even your clients, even your past clients. They're only too happy to give you testimonials because they've thanked you, they've paid you, but they wish they could do more for you. And this is something they can do for you. They can promote you. And so I wanted to send across that message that you are not alone. So then I was actually on a podcast with a friend of mine and he kind of dared me, or I came up with the idea. So I'm going to change my LinkedIn profile. Instead of I help women, which is very generic, and you as a copywriter know that specifics sell, not generics. Yeah. Get rid of all of the language. I'm going to save you time and money, and I'm going to make your business more efficient, and get rid of all of that nonsense. Okay, it's all too vague. I changed it to I help Rachels, business coach for professional women. As soon as I did that, you know what happened? People started to think of somebody. I know exactly who you know. In fact, I get women now contact me and they say, Anthony, I might be your next Rachel. Their name isn't Rachel.
Yeah. But people think they understand. I don't know. Maybe everybody has kind of an idea of what a Rachel is, and they know somebody like that, and so they recommend it.
Yeah, exactly. And now the great thing is it's unique. Like nobody's going to be saying, I help Kyla's or I help John's. Nobody's going to do it. It's been done. All right, that's just another purple cow. Anthony invented the purple cow. And
You're
so
the original.
I'm the original. So nobody's going to be able to do it successfully. A few people said to me, why don't you do next week? You can tag all of the Sarahs, and the week after you can tag the Roberts. I said, yeah, look, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And so So that's the idea of finding a niche. I don't know if it fulfills Donald Miller's thing of don't be cute or clever. I think it's a bit cute and a bit clever. But the
Well,
point
I
is
think
that the Rachels identify themselves. They say they know they belong. And some women
cute and
say, I
clever.
definitely am not a Rachel. That's great. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, you even have on your website, I mean, you have a page that qualifies people as a Rachel. Like it's a description or a page that's saying this is what a Rachel is, right?
And
And
you know where I got that from? I spoke to a couple of Rachels, including Anita, Anita Talk, my friend, and I said, like, is this it? And they said no. I said, no, it's not specific enough. You've got to dig into the pain. Do it. No, you look. That's it. Just that thing there. That's the words. Those words there. Those are the ones you need to use. Oh, okay. They even told me what order to put the bullet points in. It was great. I mean, who needs copywriters? You just get clients, right? They're the best copywriters in the world. They massage you don't invent the copy, you steal it from your clients.
oh yeah, I got a whole well, you saw, I think you saw my intake form, and I'm currently revamping that to be a bit more integrating some of that story brand stuff in there with the questions and stuff. But basically, when a client decides or somebody says, hey, I'm thinking about working with Kyler, they fill out this form that's going to really give me a good, basically, I'm going to have a lot of information that I can use when I go do my own research, right? And it's coming all from them, right?
The real challenge there is getting them to say it in their own words without you feeling that the questions are very self-serving, just serving you. Like, how is answering this question going to help them? And it goes back to what Donald Miller speaks about with the hero's journey, right? Is that it's not for you to be the hero. It's not for me to be the hero. It's not my job, right? I'm the hero maker. I'm Gandalf. I'm Yoda. I'm trying to get them to, to follow that story brand or the hero's journey from Joseph. I always forget his name. Joseph Campbell, where you are saying, okay, first of all, life is normal, and then suddenly there's a catastrophe. The hero decides to take it on himself, herself, tries to deal with it, and then collapses, and then has a big self-revelation thanks to some mentor or some wise person. And the wise person doesn't wave the magic wand. It just basically,
they're the guide, right? Yeah.
The guide, that's right. And you're the guide, and that's what you do even with copywriting. And so copywriting is the thing that you sell. Well, that's like root canal surgery.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The question is not what do you sell or what do you do? It's like, who cares? That's the real question.
Well, I'm hoping that this whole form that I'm working on is, when they fill it out, I want them to have something that they can now go back to. So even if they don't work with me, they have something that's like, holy, I see my business and my customers and my product in this whole connected story.
Well, that's
without hopefully going too long, because I don't want to get 50.
Yeah, no, you can't get it too long because they won't complete it. But that's the very interesting thing too, is that it's a journey. You're helping them on that journey of self-discovery, and sometimes people speak about that 10,000 hours rule, and I think that's just a load of nonsense. That you got to do 10,000 hours in practice. I'll give you a very simple example. I am confident on video. Okay. How did I get there? Was it through years of practice? No. Was it because I was already naturally confident? Nope. Wasn't that. Was it through acting experience or watching YouTube videos? No. It was none of that. It was a 10-minute switch. I used to be very nervous on video. Maybe I would be fine on a podcast, but recording on my own, I would be watching myself. I'd be scratching my I have to record that again. I scratched myself. I did the and then oh, I coughed. Oh no. Oh, I lost the thread in that story. I'm going to have to record it again. And I was really, really hypercritical, self-critical. And then one day I was recording these and I was looking over it again and very disappointed, and I hated the sound of my voice. And then, which is a very common experience. And then I realized, you know what, Anthony? While people are watching your video, they're probably also going to be scrolling their phone, noticing, oh, there's an alert. they're probably not going to be watching it like freeze frame, watching Anthony's mistakes. And guess what? You're not going to win an Oscar. So get over it. And with that revelation to myself made me, from the very next day, what happened, it was just a 5-10 minute reflection. Yeah, you know what? I'm trying to make it look like a Super Bowl ad, and it's just me. I've never done any video before. I've never done video editing. It looked like, I'm not saying that you go out to be sloppy, but once I actually realized that I'm not going to win an Oscar, and that's true, I haven't won one yet, then what I ended up doing was I was able to have that that confidence from the following day. Literally the following day, I watched a video that I had created and I found myself enjoying it. Wait, like I didn't. And then when people say, oh yeah, but Anthony, I hate the sound of my voice, I tell them, okay, that's fine. I promise you I will never make you go on video as long as you do one thing for me. Stop speaking to anyone ever for the rest of your life. Don't talk. Because that's the same voice that we hear, whether it's on video or not. You just haven't heard it because it's your voice. You're hearing it from inside your head because that's where your voice is coming from, outside of your head. But for us, that's the voice that we know and love. So that's true, right? Either give up talking or keep talking, you know?
Well, that's smart. Yeah. Stop talking. You know, like, yeah. I don't know. I'm for myself, video, I just kind of started doing this podcast, started recording some videos from my website just recently in the last few months. And yeah, I understand at the beginning, I was like, oh man, I just look so idiotic. Like I'm just, you know, but then I just, you know, I did one of my first videos and I'd written out a script and I read it and you could tell I was just reading from something. So then I decided, you know, I'm just going to put bullet points and just start talking. That works so much better. You know? Yeah,
absolutely. And the other thing is that if you're doing it on your own, especially if you're starting out, that can be a lot harder than doing it in a conversation like this, because we're used to talking to people, not to cameras, right? Yeah. And the camera effectively is like the middleman. And this has got a great lesson for marketing, okay? Since we are on the marketing podcast, right? The actual marketing show. This has got a great lesson for marketing, which is that every time you create a barrier between you and your audience, you create a middleman, then that's a problem. That's why we find it easier to talk to people. I mean, some people don't, but it's easier to have a conversation. You don't sort of think while you're having a conversation in person with somebody, you don't think, oh, my voice sounds so funny. And you don't think about the sound waves going from your mouth to the other person's ears. You don't think about it. So why do we think about the camera, or why do we think about the words that we use, and we get too focused on that? You're sitting there watching yourself on camera and thinking, I look awful. I look terrible. I sound funny. I look funny. Oh, that was awful. I look so nervous, and so on. But nobody's thinking like that. Okay. That's like you standing behind the stage. Okay. And they announce, okay, he's coming on. He's going to sing. The crowd goes wild. They've announced you. And then all of a sudden they go quiet, and they're waiting for you to come on stage from behind the curtain. And the MC is there. Okay, the host is saying, come on. They're waiting for you. Now's the moment. Now's the time. And you say, I can't. What do you mean you can't? We've got a crowd of 1,000 people there waiting for you to come out. They want you to succeed. They have paid good money for you to do well. They don't want you to fail. They want you to succeed. That's in their interests. And they're on your side. No, I'm not good enough. Well, hopefully the host is not going to say, okay, we're going to give a refund. Everyone go home. Hopefully they're going to say, listen, Kylie, you think you're not good enough? You know what? I don't care. It's not up to you. You're not the audience. You didn't pay tickets to come and hear you. It's up to the audience. They think it's worth it. Let's listen to the client. Let's listen to the market. They think you're worth it. Then you can go home after the show and then beat yourself up and tell yourself how bad you were. I don't care. Okay.
Well, you know what's funny is that once somebody pays for something, they are willing to overlook big mistakes because they want what they paid for to be a success.
Well, of course, and it's going to confirm that. Don't we do this, right? When we buy a car and it's a bit of a stretch, or we get some coaching, it's more money than I was expecting to pay. Now there are some many disaster stories out there, absolutely, but when people do that, they've got a reason to say, you know what, I'm really glad that I did this, and they're kind of justifying it to themselves. Straight after they've agreed to work with you, if your money is a little bit higher than they expected to pay, they will tell you, you know what, I wasn't really going to invest in this. I really wasn't going to invest that much. However, I'm glad I did because, and then they're going to tell you what their biggest objection was, which may not have come out in the sales conversation. And then their biggest objection may not be about you. It's maybe about them. It's look, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think I'm up to it. Like it's not you, it's me kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unless somebody totally screws up or a product is just a lemon. I mean, if it's meeting what they need and doing what they want, there's little things that maybe they before purchase they said, oh no, I'm not going to buy that now. But afterwards, they're willing to overlook that stuff because, like you said, they want you to succeed, and they realize you're human and or a product. How many times have I don't know how big a problem it is there in Australia. But if you go to a fast food restaurant, you buy something, and you're halfway home, and you realize they forgot an order of fries, or
I know, disastrous.
And you're like, my wife, well, she wants to turn around. And I'm like, no, I'm not going back.
This is outrageous. They have ripped us off.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is it's I mean, there's different reasons why people overlook things. And obviously you want to get the best service, the best, if you have a product, make the best product. If you have a service, make the best service. And people generally, at least the people you want to work with, are going to realize that, little things here and there are going to happen. And if you're truly doing a good job, they're going to be willing to overlook things. And they're going to justify to themselves why it was worth it. Right? Unless you've totally screwed them over. And then
it's really, I mean, it's fascinating what the real value is and why they're buying. That's so important. And very often there's a really deep emotional reason. I know people say people buy from emotions and they justify it later with reason. I don't quite accept that, but because I don't think that people are completely irrational, and even if they are, how would they justify it later with reasons if they've never heard the reasons during the sales conversation, right? There must be some reason
I think
behind it.
There's a good mix of emotion and logic that has to go into any copy or any sales message.
But if you come in just with the logical business case, then that's very, very difficult to make the sale. Because there's a lot more behind it. And so that's one thing that I've been doing in my copywriting, particularly on LinkedIn, but I also have a YouTube channel, is instead of speaking about statistics or a slogan or a catchy slogan or something like this, I really try and use metaphors. I try to to use some metaphors that are, they're just more memorable and more easy. I mean, it's kind of a variation of storytelling, but some people may not feel that they could ever tell a story. They say, oh, I never remember jokes, I don't remember stories, but they can usually remember a metaphor. And that can be a great way of capturing the emotional side as well, the imagination, as well as the intellect. And so, yeah, so I did a metaphor a few days ago. I got 2 leads out of it, and I've got 3 leads out of it, and I got 1 client straight away. It was just from a single, very short piece that I wrote on LinkedIn. And
so just a question there. Did they like reach out to you on
yeah,
the
I'll
messenger
tell you how it
platform?
happened. I'll tell you how it happened. So all 3 of them were people who I already knew. One of them had seen my profile about a week ago for the first time, and another one was kind of a month ago, and I had direct messaged her. And the third one, who became my client, she and I spoke about maybe 6 months ago. And then she kind of reached out to me a month or 2 ago and asked me, you know, what are your prices? We really need to work together. And I pretty much dropped the ball on that. So here's what happened to recover the damage. I mean, I wasn't rude to her or anything. I sent her my prices, which was a mistake. I should have done it a very different way. And so what happened was that I wrote this metaphor, and it was the example was, imagine that your clients they've got a store. Let's say it's a jewelry store or something. I don't know. Okay, a physical store. And they've somehow locked themselves inside this store, okay? And they've got customers out the front who are kind of standing at the door, lining up, wanting to come into the store, okay? And they're stuck. They need a locksmith. You, Mr. Copywriter, are the locksmith. You're going to unlock that door for them. You're not going to teach them how to do copy. You're not going to teach them how to be a locksmith, but you're going to give them the key so that they can open the door, so that their customers come into their store. Then they get your client gets paid, and they're going to be able to pay you. Okay. And so that's, so whether you know, did you ever think of yourself as a locksmith? Because that's what you are. And so that was the post. And of course, that applies even if it's a service business and not a jewelry store that your client is. And so that was the post. And as a result of that post, 3 people or several people made some really good comments on it. And then one of them commented and had not, I better be careful not to identify her, but anyway, she hadn't reached out to me for a long time. There was this one who asked me, what are your prices? And then never got back to me. So I wrote to her. I said, you know what? You know how you asked me about my prices? I think we need to have a chat. Okay. Here's a link, book a time, which she did. And we had the call last night. And so it was really just a way of, like, the fire was burning, but it needed a bit of kindling. Okay. It wasn't cold green wood. It wasn't an unaware market. She wasn't unaware. She wasn't pain aware. She wasn't solution aware. She wasn't product aware. She was between product aware and most aware, ready to buy. And that's what happened.
Here's a question kind of regarding, what would you call it? A warm lead going cold. So, you know, I get a lot of people on LinkedIn talk to me, maybe talking, hey, can we, I want to learn more about what you do and how maybe you could help me. So you start talking to them, right?
Okay.
And then they might say, hey, you know, check back with me in 2 weeks because I'm kind of busy right now. And, you know, you maybe forget, right? You're so busy.
Sure.
And you're like, and then you're going through all your messages or your emails, and you're like, oh, I was supposed to get back to that person. So have you, obviously the longer you go without contacting somebody, they're going to kind of forget about you as well, right?
Oh yeah,
and
totally.
what, do you have any tips about that? Maybe about reactivating?
Yeah, absolutely. So so the first thing is that if you're the one who has dropped the ball because you don't have a CRM, I don't have a CRM. Okay.
I'm thinking of setting up an Excel spreadsheet, possibly.
You can do it. There's plenty of ways of doing it, but you probably don't need a CRM in a business like yours at this point. So CRM is customer relationship management, basically a system to keep tab of who
Like
it is that
Salesforce or
you've spoken
HubSpot.
to. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. HubSpot would be complete overkill for you, I would think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, even the free version, but you are. Yeah, I mean, one thing that I find helpful is if you you probably don't want to be reaching out saying, hey, just touching base or just checking in or just wondering.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably don't want to be doing that. But what you can do is you can take the direct approach or the indirect approach, still reach out to them. The indirect approach, or the direct approach is, listen, I dropped the ball. I was meant to
Mhm.
get back to you, wasn't I? My bad. I'm a real, yeah, look, and just ask them, well, what did you end up doing with that? What did you end up doing with your website? Have you sorted that out yet? Have you? And so it's really just a way of kindling. And yeah, actually, we decided that we're still thinking about it. We've decided not to go ahead, or we got somebody else, and it's worked out pretty well.
Mm.
Whatever. Okay. Almost certainly, 3/4 of the time, their answer is going to be, we actually haven't done anything about it. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's when they'll write back to you and you say, wow, funny, you should contact me. What amazing timing. Okay, so that's the direct approach. Look, I find it, yeah, sorry, I know. The indirect approach, which is still reaching out to them, is, hey, I went on this podcast with this Aussie guy. I know that you've got a connection with this Aussie company. He's really funny. And so just ask him. And so I thought you might like to listen to it. If you're interested, just let me know. I'll send you through the podcast. Yeah. Or we covered those 5 stages of awareness thing. Remember that thing I was telling you about? Look, we did it here in 20 minutes into the podcast. You don't have to listen to the whole thing. He's not that funny, right? And so, so what you're doing there is you're giving them something valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you don't actually send it to them. You offer
ask them
to
to respond to you to send it to
yeah,
them.
that's right.
Oh,
So we're
that's
getting
smart.
buy-in. You're asking permission rather than sending it. Now, the other thing that you can do is they may show up. They may be embarrassed that they didn't get back to you. Okay. And so, first rule of customer service is don't humiliate the customer. Don't make them feel bad. But the other thing that I would be doing is going back, not so much into the CRM and how do I organize, who I should be contacting and so on. I would really be going back into your process itself and asking, when I got on a call with them, was I really clear about what the next step was? Can you get back to us in a couple of weeks, or I'll get back to you in a couple of weeks? Listen, we're both busy. Why don't we just book in the time right now? Okay, that way it'll be locked into our calendar. We won't have to think about it, won't have to remember. How does that sound? Okay. In the meantime, I'm going to send you a copy of this article. Would you like that? Okay, because it covers this exact point that you were asking about, headlines for your for your website or for your blog post or something like that. Where to find images, whatever. And so what you're really doing here is you're giving them something valuable that isn't really obviously just serving you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Giving. But yeah, the other thing that I would also ask, which is kind of a deeper level, but I'm wearing my coaching hat as I ask this, is I'm kind of thinking, is there some other hesitation in you that's making you subconsciously think, I'm not really that valuable. I'm not really, they probably wouldn't want to hear from me. I'm interrupting their lives. Because if
On my
there's,
side.
if there is
Oh,
something
okay.
there, yeah, that's right. If there's something there,
Well,
then
I think for myself, I've always been kind of I'm getting better at it in the last few months here. I've been reaching out a lot more, but I'm always afraid. I'm always afraid of the ask, and not because I don't think I can show them something, but I know for myself, I get very like when somebody shows up in my LinkedIn Messenger or an email saying, "Hey,
It's
I'm
your
gonna get
lucky
on a
day.
call with you and show you my opportunity I have for you." I'm instantly like, "Hey, man, I don't even know who you are."
Yeah, by the way,
That's
can I talk to you about Bitcoin? And
yeah, yeah. Well, it's
yeah,
funny.
no,
I heard on I don't know if you know Lee Rowley at all. He's another
yeah, I
copy.
know Lee. I was on Lee's podcast a couple of times. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, me and Lee know, or we've had a few Zoom calls and starting to get to know each other quite a bit better. But he put a post up there about something about people instant messaging into LinkedIn, and then one
Yeah.
of his students had put another post saying, "Hey, do you know what I do when people cold pitch me? I just cold pitch them back." And I was like, so I messaged. I was like, "Did you ever get any clients that way?" She's like, "Oh, I haven't had anybody in a while." So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try that. So now,
Ali is
so
great.
I went through all my LinkedIn messages. I looked for all the cold pitches, and I was really polite about it. And I said, "Hey, look, because I had everything from people trying to sell me cleaning products to
Yeah.
forex exchange, Bitcoin,
Yeah.
uh, all sorts of stuff." So I was like, hey, you know what? I'm probably not your target customer, but you know what? Let's work on your cold pitch marketing and really targeting the right people and get clarifying your message, right? And if you want to get back to me, just reply, "Let's talk," And a couple of them did, and then I'm saying, "Oh, awesome. Okay, so why don't you check out this process video of mine or whatever?" And then we never heard nothing back from them. But
So, so what's really happening here is yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a scattergun approach, a lack of alignment, spray and pray, right?
mm-hmm.
And so they're not really sure themselves about their value or about their process or who they should be working with or what they can do. And so they're basically, it's like walking down the street with a box of engagement rings. All right.
Yeah, just tossing them out. Marry me, marry me.
Anybody want to marry? What about you, somebody? And so what you're, well, yeah. And so as I say, if you're asking permission, about the ask, is that being afraid of the ask? That's usually I mean, when I get to the point of the ask, in fact, when I was on this call last night with somebody, when we got to the ask, I was hoping that she would that she would not bring up early, how much can I pay you? Like how I was, in fact, that would have been a red flag for me. I had done so much groundwork ahead of time and offered so much value to her to be so that she could afford to pay me. She'll be able to, I did, and she's been following my posts for months, even though she hasn't been engaging in any of them. And she's been following me, and so that made it so easy that when I came to the ask, there wasn't really any ask. You're putting too much pressure when you go on to focusing on the close or the ask. I mean, some people never ask, but I think what you're doing is you're really saying, look, I'm not here to ask. I mean, yes, you can ask, and there are a number of techniques of doing that. But I think what you're really doing is you're saying something like, is this a good fit? Should we take this to the next step? Would you like to learn about how I can help you solve this problem that we've just been speaking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very, very gentle. I was just telling a client of mine, I said, look, I don't actually get to the sales side. Like, it's not like I'm just doing less and less selling these days, not because I'm swamped with leads, but because the preparation work is so important around your positioning, so that people say, I belong. It's just like, when do we start, kind of thing. So it takes the pressure off. Do the upfront work, and then don't worry so much about the close, because you're putting yourself and putting them under, making them feel awkward. You don't ever want to do that.
Yeah. I guess you want to do a number of number of dates before marriage, right? That's what they
Yeah,
say.
and I mean, look, it really depends also on your business and how big the project is and how long you're going to be working together with them and so on. You don't necessarily need to to drag it out, but I think it's always helpful if you are both clear what the next step is,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really super clear. Not, I'll give you a call next week. I'm going to send you. I'll tell you what. I'm going to introduce you to this person. Would that be okay? Yes. So just yesterday, I introduced Anita to somebody who runs a SaaS company here that has got thousands of customers, and here in Australia. And he was the CEO, and I just introduced them. Would it be okay? I just asked her permission. So that's something, a bonus that I can give to both of them. You see,
Mm-hmm.
and so you just ask them, what's the next step?
Yeah, I guess just slowly step them through all the. I think it's probably good to have kind of a plan on how you do things and just
Sure.
have your way of moving to the next step through. Okay, guys, so we're gonna wrap up the show here. We kind of went off the normal show script. Anthony had a lot of good things to say. The conversation was very inspirational, educational, and we talked maybe possibly doing a second one down the road here where we can share some more with you guys. So, but before we wrap up the show here, I just want to give Anthony a chance to an offer for you guys, or whatever he wants to share with you. Kind of
Okay. Well, I would love it if people connected with me on LinkedIn. Okay. And so say that you were listening to the Actual Marketing podcast. That would be Actual Marketing show. That would be wonderful. And then I'll remember who you are. I've also got a YouTube channel, and I'll include the link there. So
I'll put it in the show notes for you as well.
Growing those in the show notes. So I'm growing that subscriber base. Connect with me on LinkedIn. If you want to direct message me, then that would be great as well.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and make sure you guys check out the show notes for the link to his YouTube video channel. And obviously, if you're watching this podcast or this show on YouTube, it'll be in the subtitles. There should be a link as well. But if you're listening to the podcast version of this, you'll have to go check the show notes. And I'll put Anthony's LinkedIn link as well.
And I've also got a website, believe it or not. I have a website, and it's anthonyenglish.com.au. anthonyenglish.com.au. So we'll include that in the show notes. And yeah, and even if you're not a Rachel, you can still come to my website. That's okay.
Hey, I signed up for your email list there about the 7 lessons on budgeting, or asking about their budget. That was really good information in there. So if you're not a woman and your name's not Rachel, so if you're a man and your name's John, he still has some great information on his website. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Okay. Well, guys, that's the show today. Thank you, Anthony, for coming on the show and sharing your experiences with us. To my listeners, please help me spread the word and leave a review on whatever podcast or video platform you're listening to the Actual Marketing Show on. It is appreciated, and will get this valuable content out to those who need it most. And remember to subscribe to the show's channel and click the little bell if you're on YouTube. Awesome. You guys are great. Thank you for listening to the Actual Marketing Show. Cheers until next time. Hey guys, thanks again for watching this episode of the Actual Marketing Show. If you want to connect with me, check me out on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/in/Kyler Callahan. If you want to check me out on Facebook, visit my Facebook page at fb.me/Kyler Writes, or Facebook message me at m.me/Kyler Writes. I'd like to thank SRO for the track Neon Tokyo for the intro and outro music. Check out SRO in the show notes. Hope to see you on the next episode. Bye.